Hey guys, this is Bandito Bane, the well-rounded nerd, the Super Spider-Man fan, and the Warhammer noob. Today I am going to be reviewing Ghazkul Thraka, Prophet of the Waaagh. Now this is by Nate Crowley. I believe this is his second endeavor of in the Black Library. He has done two other novels, especially for the Necrons faction, and this is actually the first one he has done for the orcs, and it and this covers the life and history and the rise to power of one of the most famous of the Warhammer characters, Ghazkul Thraka. And if you ever seen Hammer and Bolter, you know who he is with the in the episode Old Baelai, as he is said to be the mortal enemy of Sebastian Yarok, the hero of Armageddon. And we have, and with this, it shows how he went from a simple, went from a simple looter boy all the way to chief, all the way to one of the greatest threats that the Warhammer Galaxy has ever done. And this is all told by through the eyes of his faithful servant, a grot named Makari. And with Makari, it is going to be like one of the things that is going to be very, you get like a more of a understanding of the orc culture, because you're being told it from the inside. And you have other factions, but mainly their Imperium. It's the Imperium, and this basically tells of the Imperium's hunt for Ghazkul Thraka, because right now the orcs pose a great threat to the galaxy, especially to the Imperium of Man. And this is most likely before the Great Rift, which caused the fall of Cadia and split the galaxy in two. And this is what and this has an Inquisitor and her team interrogating Makari as they try to get history of of what of what he knows, and where he is now. And what we learn from Makari is that this guy Ghazkul is the closest thing to an orc version of Jesus, because he is, they say he is basically talking to their gods, Gork and Mork, one who is brutal yet cunning, and the other who is cunning yet brutal. It's better if you don't think about it. But with this story, we're going to learn a lot about Ghazkul. So I'm going to go over the story, some of the major characters, and some of the points with what we'll get to, and I will give it a final verdict. So, because in the far future of the 41st millennium, there's only war. Now the story follows Lord Inquisitor Tati, Tatiora Tationida Falix. Most likely butchered that name, but I'll just call her Inquisitor Fax for this review. And she is from the Ordos of Zeno, which which is a part of the Inquisition, which hunts Xenos. And she was able to find a very valuable prisoner from another orc tribe. And it is the one Makari. Makari is Ghazkul Thraka's banner waver. He basically, everywhere he goes, Ghazkul went, Makari went. And everywhere Ghazkul is, the banner is. Now, the banner is something very important to Ghazkul, and I'll get into it later. But right now, she is joined in the interrogation chamber with two others from the Inquisition. And that is Ruin Priest, Orm Hendrickson, formerly of the Black Wolves, but now with the Death Watch, and a very peculiar psyker known as Cassia. And this is very peculiar to people because Cassia is an Ogren. And now Ogrens are known to be simple creatures. These are like the version of the ogres in Warhammer Fantasy. And they're basically simple people, and like the Imperium uses them as heavy infantry and shock troops, but they found that she is a latent psyker, and she was able to. They pulled a few strings, and they made her into part of the Inquisition, and that is always an interesting tidbit. They're also joined by an orc from the Blood Axes, known as Biter, which is short for Bite the Face Off the Bite. I think it's Bites Face of Face Bites Biter before it can bite. But they just call him Biter. And he is basically the spy of the Inquisition, because they are offering him a lot of money to get information of Ghazkul, or in this case, they're offering him a lot of Daka. Now, throughout the interrogation, we see the story from the point of view from Makari, and we learn of Ghazkul's rise to power. The first time Ghazkul was in a distant planet which was overrun by orcs, had no other living beings except maybe the local wildlife. And this planet was known as Urk. Urk is a planet in a far distant part of the galaxy, which the orcs had completely overrun. While humanity tried to conquer it, the orcs had a Waaagh, and they just completely run out. And the only thing left were a few outposts with some automated defense systems. And the orc, which would be known as Ghazkul, came and destroyed those automated systems in a raid. But one thing happened, and it happened when hit a bolter shell, which is the size of a cigar, and shoots small missiles, basically blew the top of his head. Now this would completely destroy an orc, except Ghazkul basically kept his skull together and walked to the nearest orc camp. The orc, the orcs didn't know what to think of it. They just took him to the nearest pain doc for a few teeth. And the pain doc used him as an experiment. This pain doc was known as Grotznick. Now, Grotznick had a piece of old Terminator armor, which made out of adamant, which he put on Ghazkul's head as his new skull. And he put some bionics all over him, and Ghazkul basically died on the table. He was sent out into the with the rest of the bodies to be taken apart by a grot, and the grot had a poker stick, and then Ghazkul came back to life. He touched the grot, and the grot saw the saw Gork and Mork turning the galaxy green, and this grot became Makari. Now, this was just the beginning. Ghazkul went and challenged the the chief of the current tribe he was staying at. He beat him fair and square, even though he had two Dakas shooting at him point blank range. It just seemed to miss him. Now, this part of the story always gets me because the orcs have this inept psychic power, which causes them to ignore things or think things that will actually happen. Oh, they said there was one thing that they say that they believe that red makes things go faster, so they'll paint their bikes, their other vehicles red. They think blue makes you lucky, so they'll paint it blue. They think that yellow gets a bigger bang, so they'll paint their bombs yellow. And they think if you can't get hurt, then you can't then they don't get hurt. Now, Ghazkul in this story, Ghazkul goes around Urk, putting the tribes together and beating them at their own games. He gets the snake bites, and he challenged the chief to a knife fight. He beats the speed freaks in a race. But then he becomes bored with Urk, and he decides that they need to leave. But what they don't know is that the sun is going to go supernova, and they don't have a way to get off the ship. But Ghazkul gets a vision saying that a ship will come in 2 weeks. So Ghazkul waits, and it becomes and the Space Hulk, which becomes his flagship, turns up. Now, this is as far as the story I'm gonna go with what I can tell, but the story is very good, very well told, from numerous points of views. You have the Inquisitor, you also have Makari, you even have like the Ruin Master who takes over, and this is all very well told. So, and I'm gonna go over the characters now. The characters are very well written. I mean, you have you have Makari, you have the Inquisitor, you have the Ruin Master, and you have the Ogren and the Spy. You also have other characters which show up, including Boss Grot. You even have like the Pain Doc. You have Grotsnick. You have other 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 bosses which work under Ghazkul. You even have mentions of major Warhammer events like the Second War of and Third War of Armageddon. You learn that you see the type of relationship that him and Makari have, or the relationship between Makari and Ghazkul is one of the selling points of this book because you see them not like a servant or slave. He's basically more of an advisor, and you see this with every part of the story. Ghazkul want, and you also see some of the things that will come to define Ghazkul. His obsession with Yarick, him wanting to be the best, him being just as cunning as he is brutal. We also see this with the Inquisitor. She becomes obsessed with Ghazkul. She wants to catch him. She wants to destroy him. She wants to do it. And she wants to be able to do this, and we see it will cost her a lot by the end of the story. And as for the other characters, there are some good characters like Shank, one of Ghazkul's lieutenants. There's also Grotznik, and other people, other main characters, but we don't actually get to meet as much of the orcs because I don't know why, but Games Workshop doesn't seem to give a lot of orc of orc characters. There are some new orc characters coming out, and maybe we'll get some more books. Hopefully more backstory because I love the orcs. They're they're like the soccer hooligans of the Warhammer universe. They basically are the ones who are winning the galaxy because they are fighting and they're having fun while they're doing it. But the character development and the character pace is very good in my opinion. Now I'll give you the final verdict of this 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 story. The final verdict of this story is I'm going to give it an 7.5, 7.5 out of 10. While the character development and the battles and even the comedy with some of the orcs, I think what really drags it down is the fact that there's not enough of it. I mean the whole thing the whole thing teeters with especially with the Inquisitor. She is a very dull character. I mean, she is the one thing that defines her is her obsession with Ghazkul, and for other readers, I think it's because she's a lesbian, but not. But I couldn't care. I couldn't care less about that. But her, but she only has one defining characteristic, and she doesn't doesn't do anything to stand out of the story. Maybe in the beginning when the orcs offered her 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, which was 10 bullets, 10 guns, 10 planets, 10 ships for Makari, and they actually and that was basically one of the things that was there. There are some interesting interesting parts in the story, like a Kroot that devolved into like a fish creature that eats flesh and gets and gets visions, but that they don't explore into that more. I mean, it was only there for like maybe a few, like not even a third of the story. It's just a little bit of a wasted opportunity. But there are some good. I mean, the comment with the comedy you get from the orcs, and and you also cheer for Ghazkul, especially when he is fighting a chaos demon aboard his new space Hulk. So like seven and a half would be a good good view, and I'm basically going to suggest that you get this maybe from I suggest you get it from Audible. Audible has the best most or any other audio bookstore because you have three different voices which sound three different voice actors who go through it. There's one for the Inquisitor, one for Makari, and one for the and one for the Rune Priest. So yeah, so that's the best I can give it. So pick it up, pick it up if you can, and that is going to be it today. So thank you for listening, unless if you still are. This is been. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Help me help me defeat the algorithm of YouTube. But anyways, this is Bandito Bane, the well-rounded nerd, the super Spider-Man fan, and the Warhammer noob, saying keep playing and God bless.